Heartfelt thank you to the team at Hyde for including me in this rollout for their new doll line. Hola, fashion doll lovers. My name is Christopher E. Bienvenidos to my channel. In today's video, I have a very special My Thoughts video, as I'm going to be sharing some newly presented images of a new doll line called Hyde. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the brand Hyde, they've been teasing their arrival on Instagram for some time now. I'll make sure to leave their handle down in the description below. And I am fortunate enough to be able to present some of the newer looks of the East Draft collection that's going to be coming out from them rather soon. Also, stay tuned to the end of this video because you, the viewer, will get to vote on a look of one of the dolls in this line. So I'll be presenting two different looks, and in the comments down below, leave your thoughts on which one you would like the company to produce. So sit back, grab a snack, and let's get into this line. Okay, so before I get into the first character, let me kind of explain how this video is gonna go because it is very different even for me. So I feel like if I say it out loud, it'll help me even formulate it as we go. So there are 6 characters in total that I'll be talking about in this video. However, the final character really is in your hands to decide what look will be produced. Now for the other 5, I'll be giving you the brief that was sent to me by the company, and I'll be sharing that with you so you can get a little bit of like a background story on the looks and what they're wearing. And then I'll share my thoughts on the images that were shared with me. So first up, we have Zayn. Okay, so you were able to read a little bit of the brief that was sent over to me from the company. Now I'm going to share my thoughts on the images of Zayn's outfit that I'm uploading right over here. Now, Zayn is pretty much the ringleader from my understanding of the group. The group is a set of what I assume to be teens or maybe college students that work at a fashion company by day but are spies by night. Now Zayn is the fashion stylist of the group and also the character that seems to be introducing this group. Again, the main focus from what I've seen from what's been released already. Now, his look consists of a lot of pink. There is the mesh shorts with these, like, I'm looking at the image. So if you're like, what are you looking at? I have the image as reference on my computer just so I can have a visual in front of me as I'm talking about these looks because there are so many things to talk about. And honestly, I know we're only on the first character, but I am very curious to see how this unfolds in production because there's a lot going on here. Now, there also seems to be a lot of like metal in this look. So I wonder how that's going to be produced in the IRL doll. I wonder if it's going to be metal or are we going to have plastic with like the silver coloring because there's a lot going on here. I'm also really curious, are these like gemstones on his shoulder and his knee pads? What do you think, honestly? Because they have the shape of a gemstone, but they're in place of like support. So it's an interesting thing there. I also really like the eye makeup he has going on. I love the really high boots with a touch of pink at the sole and also the buckles being in pink. I really just love how we have incorporated the pink, but it's not overpowering. The look is still very edgy, very kind of goth meets AI techno, right? I'm like processing it in real time, although I've seen the images before, but I haven't like actually talked about them out loud until I was on camera. I love for you all to get my like most honest reaction. So I'm just like, it's giving very sci-fi, a little bit of goth, kind of like K-pop. You know, I said K-pop out loud. I can really see this being a performance on look. Oh, my computer went away. No, stay open, stay open. So yeah, Zayn's look is kind of flirty, I wouldn't call it the most high fashion out of the group, ironically enough, because he's the stylist. But yeah, he's definitely got something going for him with this black pink combination. Now up next, we have Eden. Okay, Eden, let's get into your look now. From this image and the way they posed her, she's giving very like femme fatale ninja, especially with the two swords. I am curious about these shoes. They're the first thing to catch my eye with this look, simply because they almost don't look like they go. Now, is she wearing a heel with a lot of buckles? Is this like a flat? What is going on with these shoes? Now, unlike Zayn, her look seems to be heavier on the green, while his was heavier on the black. With his look, the pink was the accent. With her look, we're almost kind of getting the opposite, where the black is the accent. And I do love here that we've kind of mixed two shades of green. Zayn also had two shades of pink, but the second shade of pink was really more on like the soles of his shoes. Here with her, it's really highlighted certain areas of her outfit. And once again, the knee pads and shoulder pads are giving me gemstones. I wonder if that's gonna play into the story somehow, because it seems to be a continued theme between all the characters. I'm very curious to see how that unfolds and what really is it? I mean, obviously it's knee pads and shoulder pads, but is it a gemstone? Is it not a gemstone? I have questions and I really want to see it in person. Okay, before I get into Isaiah, I just realized, because my brain works like this, I forgot to mention that Eden is the accessory designer by day in this group. So spy by night, but accessory designer by day. Okay, let's now focus on Isaiah, because baby, Isaiah is definitely the F-boy in the group. It appears he's definitely giving F-boy vibes. He's giving bad boy to the T. There's a lot of mention in that brief if we're to pause it and read about his particular piercing, which I'm very curious to see if that comes into fruition into the doll in real life, simply because I don't think I've ever seen a doll with that piercing, and I'm curious to see how that comes out. It was definitely mentioned, and I feel like it's something that stood out. So I'm curious to see if it actually is something that is produced. Now, something with Isaiah is he is the fashion marketer by day. I just realized I had mentioned Eden's. Let me make sure I mentioned his as well. But fashion marketer, baby. Okay. He is that character that kind of just makes you have to stop yourself and be like, ooh, okay. We have a lot of like ripped jeans, kind of showing this like metal armor around the legs. It's like his knee pads take a whole new definition on knee pads, because again, we're seeing that gemstone in his signature color. Everyone has their signature colors. The only thing with him is he doesn't seem to have shoulder pads, but he has elbow pads in the same design. Again, these items seem to be such a, to me, standout piece that it's the first thing my eyes look at, because it's not your standard baby. It's not your standard knee pads or shoulder pads or elbow pads. So when I look at them, it's like where my eye goes. And I think I'm also someone that really loves gemstones and astrology. So I look at it and I think of those. And yeah, my mind really takes that. His sword was mentioned in the description, which obviously it's very close to similar image as Eden. They kind of have the like ninja vibe, where his is a little bit more grunge motorcycle. I really love that he has this like corset with the word draft on it, as that is the name of this line. If I'm not mistaken, it's East Draft is the name of this brand, this like collection. Let me turn my computer on again. And yeah, his look isn't as detailed, I feel like, as the others. What really comes through with him is his vibe and his personality. Where like New York has just erupted at 2 in the morning as I'm filming this for him. It's the energy he brings. It's just a lot of fire. So I think his particular outfit is very simple, very straightforward, pretty edgy, pretty grunge, but I think something that I wouldn't say used to, definitely the shoulder pads and elbow pads elevate it to another level and really make him cohesive with the line. But I gotta stop looking at him because that face is also giving a lot. Let's get into Leo, the photographer of the group. Now, honestly, and this might be my own personal experience in fashion, I think Isaiah's personality gives more photographer, and I feel like Leo's personality, based on styling, gives more fashion marketer. Just, I guess, a little bit of my own personal experience in the fashion world, where I'm kind of like, the way that they're styled give me the opposite personality. Mostly because I've seen and worked with a lot of photographers that kind of have the Isaiah vibe. Really like chilled, laid back, kind of F-boy mood, if you may. And as someone who went to school for digital marketing and wanted to be in fashion marketing, Leo's look just feels like something I would wear and something that I think a lot of fashion marketers would wear. But I digress. They have their story that is already made. This is just how my brain works. But let's get into Leo's look. Out of all of the photos we've seen so far, and I think out of all the photos in this release that I have, Leo, no, he's not the only one, but Leo's image is from the back. So we don't really get to see the front of his look, which I'm really curious to see, simply because we've seen the first 3 by the front and not really the back view. That with Leo, I'm almost kind of like, you're giving royalty from the back, but what's the front giving? Again, we see that the shoulder pads are back with that kind of like gemstone effect, but now we see that the shoulder pads gemstone vibe has gone onto the cushion of his headset. Well, not the cushion, but like the outer. So it's like, we're not seeing it in the knee pads. We don't know if he's wearing any. Can't see the front. But we are seeing that style and design come back in a different accessory. So it's almost like we're blending in these arm, shoulder pad, elbow pads into accessories. Something I do notice off the bat as I'm looking at the images, that Leo's boots look very similar to Zayn's boots. However, his look like they're low cut and Zayn's were a little bit higher. But they have a very similar, again, gemstones. I feel like it's everything was kind of referenced with gemstone. The shape of the color of the yellow in the boots is very gemstone-like. But I really, again, even with Leo, had to like go and buff the computer up. I want to see how we incorporate all of these ties into doll form. You know, something this intricate has not really been seen. I know Rainbow High and Shadow High did some great stuff with a lot of detailed clothing, but this one, out of all of the looks, this is my personal favorite, and also the one that I personally would wear. So it's the one that I'm looking forward to the most to see produced out of all of them. ladies and gentlemen, I give you Trinity. So out of all of the members of this collection, Trinity is actually the character that's being introduced with the East draft. So if you go to the Instagram page right now, you will actually see Naomi, Trinity's sister, on the feed for Hyde, but you will not see Trinity because she's being introduced in this line. See, Trinity seems to be a part of their spy group, not so much their fashion group, as Trinity is the mechanic as she's being introduced in the storyline that was presented to you previously before I started talking. So it appears that with these looks, we're seeing their spy looks, and the looks that were already previously released were more of like their day wear. So that is probably why Trinity is being introduced with the spies and Naomi was introduced with the fashion. Now Trinity's look, similar to Leo, has the train vibe, but again with Trinity we're seeing the front, we're seeing a lot of the same. I want to say Trinity reminds me a lot of Zayn, meaning that overall her look has a lot more black and the yellow and pink are more of the accents here. It appears that out of all of them, only Eden really had her look fully in one color. Everyone else has had a black base with the accents, and Eden has had the opposite. Because even Isaiah, although his felt heavy on the orange, he still had more of a black base with orange accessories. Anyways, I digress. Let's focus on Trinity. Trinity, out of all of the characters, has the biggest hairstyle. And I'm pointing out things that make me curious into production. I'm thinking about these dolls and how they're going to be produced because that is the end game here. These are dolls that will be produced by this company. So I'm curious to see how this hairstyle transcends. No, that's not. I'm getting stuck on the word and you're seeing my brain not function. Yeah, no, it's not functioning. Translates. There you go. It was going to come to me and we were going to get it together because that's just sometimes how things work. Anyways, how it translates into a produced doll. I really just love, she has this kind of like royalty grunge look. I also look at her for some reason. I think of a wrestler. I feel like she could be in the WWE. Maybe she was inspired by Trinity. Isn't there a Trinity at WWE? I don't know much about wrestling. Please bear with me. But when I see her, that's what I get. And I'm okay with it. And now for the part of the video that your votes are needed for. I'm introducing Brooke Reed's 2 options and you get to vote on the one you like the most. Now, Brooke Reed was introduced in the original lineup. She is the fashion editor I see over there. So she is a character that we have been introduced to already on the Instagram page and the Twitter account. Well, sorry, not Twitter, it's called X now. Can you tell what age I'm from? I'm calling it Twitter. Anywho, so here you have option 1 and option 2. I hope you were able to get some time to read both, as I shared them before discussing her look. We have option 1, which is the femme fatale. That look seems to be what I would call the more femme look. It seems to be an asymmetrical skirt with some gladiator boots and high heels. We see a lot more skin in femme fatale. It appears he has like a strapped top, and also these looks similar to Leo are from the back, so we're not getting a lot of information from the front. I really would have loved if they would have given me front and back, but this is what I got, so this is what we're going to talk about. Yeah, this one seems to be the one with all the skin, and it's focused more on jewelry. It also seems heavier on silver. Her color palette seems to be lavenders and silvers with black. Obviously, that is the color that connects them all. And now for her second option, it's called Sleek Biker. Those look like shorts. Please forgive me if they said what it was in the brief right before. I didn't catch up on that one before I started this. Apologies on me pausing. I was thinking, should I give you my opinion? But I want you to vote on your own accord. Like, I want you to have your own voice. But I'm sharing my opinion. It is what it is. That's what we're here for. I think I really like option number. Yeah. I love the long sleeves. I love the detail in the back of the top. I love that more purple is incorporated. I love the effect that's designed around the side of her rib cage. From this angle, I'm assuming that that is silver, so we're gonna go with that. I just feel that the option 2 plays into the other characters very well. I also really love how the boots have so much detail going on. That's not something we've seen from the other characters, but I really just love personally that option 2 to me complements the other looks a little bit better. Feel like she's missing something though, and maybe something will be added in this. It does say round 1, so I don't know if anything's going to be introduced later for her. But as of right now, from what we've been presenting, I think option 2 would be the one that I was to personally vote for. So, but now it is up to you. It is in your hands. Which one of the 2 looks do you like? Option 1 or option 2? Leave it down in the comments down below. And I'll also make a community post with a voting poll, so you can leave your options there as well, because the company will be taking a look at our votes and they will be checking the comments to see which one you're interested in. And until next time, guys, adios.